Say I. Awesome. Then here's my question. What could fuck this up? Tell me, what could fuck this up? I see some of you going, getting in my head. You're right. Get in your head, you're what? Dead. But when you get in your head, what does that really mean? It means you're believing the most limiting thoughts. And you have to remember, we all have a 2-million-year-old brain. And it's not designed to make you happy. It's designed to make you survive. So it's always looking for what's wrong. Remember we played the game Look for Brown, and you all saw beige shit and called it brown just to feel successful? I said look for red. You saw burgundy. You called it red so you could get more scores. Whatever you're looking for, seek and ye shall what? Find. It says that in a very good book called The Good Book. And you don't have to be religious to understand this, that this is a fact of life. So if you and I are going to really take things to a different level, we got to see what could mess it up. So the mind could mess it up, but what aspect of the mind? What makes us start to believe those thoughts? What's the emotion that messes us up? What is it? It's absolutely fear. But there's more than this. Every day of our lives, we live in a world that is incredibly complex. It is no more stressful than World War II, when none of us in this room probably remember that time, but it looked like democracy was disappearing and the Germans were going to win at one stage. That's stressful. Being in a foxhole is stressful. You're not making as much money as you want, or being a little overweight, or someone calling you names online. That shit is not stressful. We're making it stressful. We've lost perspective. Who's with me on this? Say I. So what's really useful, I think, today is for us to figure out what messes us up. And one of the biggest things that messes us up is expectation, right? What did we say the other day? Trade your expectations for appreciation, and your whole life changes. Because when you're expecting things and it doesn't happen, you get upset. So that first day also was all about, what if you lived your life and you made a decision? And the decision was, life is too short to suffer. It's too short to be stressed, pissed off, fearful, worried. Who's with me on this? Say I. But our minds, our survival software, is always looking for what's wrong. Our job is to create the happiness. And the only way you do that is you draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going to suffer. I'm going to be honest. If I start to feel that stress, I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to realize we're the only creatures on the planet that can think a thought and become angry. Think a thought and become playful. Think a thought and be worried. Think a thought and feel loved. That's why we can change how fast? But you have to take control and train this brain. If you don't train this brain, it'll use you instead of you using it. You have to identify with your heart or your soul or your spirit instead of the brain. As I said, in China, the heart is the emperor. It is the highest energy. It's the thing that is worshipped, because when you were born, there was no brain. Your heart started beating and there wasn't a brain in you as a fetus. It has its own intelligence. It produces hormones that strengthen your bones. It is the strongest force in your immune system. This is the ticket. This is what we get caught up in. We want to use the head and heart together, and then we have the power of both of them. So to do that, though, we got to give up the expectation that people are going to behave the way we want them to. Because what are the chances, if your happiness is dependent upon everyone around you, your mother behaving the way you think she should, your father, your brother, your sister, your coworkers, your employees, what are the chances of everybody living the way you think they should? On a 0 to 100% scale, what are the chances? So why would we allow this to be? Because it's just a bad habit. And it's like my buddy Mike here with his daughter. Instead of trying to control her, he decides, I'm going to learn from her, I'm going to love her, I'm going to grow me. And that pulls her closer instead of pushing her further away. Instead of working on them, we're going to work on us. If I want to change you, the fastest way I can change you is change me, because we're in a cybernetic loop. If dad responds totally different than she can predict, she doesn't know how to deal with that anymore, now you have the upper hand. Now your love can penetrate her instead of the story in each other's minds. When he was talking to me on that first day about her, he was in his head. How many saw that? And then he left his head and got in his heart, and that's when he penetrated her. And look at mom over here smiling from ear to ear, going, nodding her head, going, yeah, that's cool. And look at Mike's big smile on his face, because he can feel the difference. So today we want to do our best to catch ourselves in our head, to get back on our heart. And then here's the biggest thing you need. You don't want to make the assumption that says, no, I've done 3 days and I'm done. This is the beginning, not the end. Who's with me on this? Say aye. Now, it doesn't have to be the beginning with me. If you want to do more with me, come to Master University. Or you can go do it with someone else, but you got to keep growing. If you don't keep growing, none of this will matter. And you can have tremendous few months or half a year or a year, but why would you settle for 6 months because you went through the program? I remember one time I had a friend years ago, really good friend of mine, and he came to this seminar, and he loved it. And he was on fire, and he went back and he lost 32 pounds, and he changed his business, got closer to his wife, and then he ran into some challenges in one of his business, had two businesses, one of his businesses, and then their kid had some challenges, and he and his wife got stressed about it, and they started being stressed with each other in reaction to the environment. And so, it was like 6, 7, 8 months in, and I remember him saying, hey, Tone, I love that seminar, but dude, it didn't last. It was great for 6 months. I said, asshole. I said, who made you think you could do something for 3 days and it would even last 6 months? I said, do you think I just did 3 days and I've been this way for the last 40? No, I said 40 years ago I started a journey that has never ended. And so we need a daily practice, right? Who's up for it here? Say aye. And so I want to show you how I do this for me, and I want you to create your own system based on it. So if you and I are going to get lasting results, you got to do some things regularly. The first thing, and I call this immersion coaching, the first thing that I do still myself is I schedule myself at least twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, to go to an event of some sort where I can make myself better psychologically, emotionally, relationship, finances, something. I call it an event blast-off because most people learn a language in high school and college. Who learned a language in high school and college? Let me see you show hands. How many of you don't speak a fucking word of it now? Let me see you show hands. What happened? You spent years, but you did it like 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. Immersion is the way to learn. When you're breathing like we're doing here all night, all day, it's not comfortable, but it's unbelievably fulfilling. How many are experiencing it right now? Say aye. You got to get over your mind going, I can't do this, it's too hard and all that shit. You got to push yourself through when you feel exhausted and say, there's a second wind in me, I'm going to find it. But if you go for immersion, you will master things 10 times faster than you will doing an hour a day or once a week or something like that. I mean, think about it. This seminar is 50 hours of the course of the weekend, 4 days. It's a lot of hours. I can make this so much easier. Let's do an hour a week for a year. We'll get 2 weeks off, it'll be easy. Would we get the same result, yes or no? No way. So I'll give you an example. My wife and I, and we have an extended family member of mine named Mary, and Mary, the three of us travel together. Mary's my right arm. And so I drag Mary with us too because she's part of our family. We just recently finished A Date with Destiny, which is my most powerful seminar. It's 6 days and nights, and it's an experience of some grads of Date with Destiny, cool. But it's one of my favorite things to do on earth, but it's not an easy thing on my body, as you might imagine. And it's incredibly fulfilling, but at the end of it, my body is complete toast, as you can imagine. And we were in Australia, in the Gold Coast, and I scheduled already, some Aussies here, huh? Nice to see you guys. And I scheduled, because my life was so full, there was only like 1 week I could do this, and so I scheduled to go to this place in Sedona, Arizona, where this man for 39 years has been a neurological expert about how to wire your brain for alpha states, delta states, if you're familiar with those. But alpha is the expertise. And I want to, as great as my life is, I want to take another level. So I have more to give for my family, for my friends, for you, for myself. So we go for 7 days and nights. And this is what it was like. You got up first thing in the morning, 6:30, and you spent an hour and a half getting your brain wired with this glue shit. And they put like 180 of these electrodes on your head. My wife looked so attractive, and so did I. It was amazing. And then, after wiring you up with this goop, which, by the way, takes forever to get out afterwards. Oh, there's where we don't see the goop. You see just our hair afterwards. But the bottom line is, we go in, then you go in individual rooms. Like, I want to be with my family, right? I want to be with my wife. I want to be with my family. And I got to go in this dark little room that has no light. And it's freezing cold. It must be my karma for the shit I do to you people on a regular basis, right? And sure enough, I'm there for 14 hours in this room. You get 1 break, sometimes 2, run the restroom. And the entire time you are learning to think, and how you think, these electrodes create sounds. And you learn how to put yourself in the zone of alpha. But it's a bitch. It's horrible. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that wants easy experiences, but I'd recommend it to anybody that wants to grow immensely. And by the first day, I'm like, who do I got to shoot to get out of this thing? Oh, it's me. I'm the one that did this shit. Right? But by the end of the week, all three of us were able to go into this state of alpha. And if you're familiar with alpha, the best way I can describe alpha is there's no problem that can't be solved in alpha. Because every problem that we have was created by us. Destruction of the environment to the pissed offness that you may have. And since we create the problems, any problem a human creates, we can solve. But you can't do it with the same level of thinking that got you there. So there's a science of it, and you can't cheat. This thing measures you. And then you take this frickin' test with 300 questions 3 times a day, the same effing test. And it takes forever. And while you're answering it, these electrodes are seeing what you're doing. And then the guy sits down with you, and it's called sigmas, and he goes, well, this is 2 sigma, this is even, this is 10 sigmas. And the more sigmas is how far you are off from what you wrote from what was really going on in your nervous system. So it's like, said something to me like that I was demanding. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not demanding. What are you talking about? Right? But I guess I was, right? And you learn then how to let go of those old patterns, create new ones. So my point is, I'm doing okay in my life. I'm not exactly hurting. I'm having the most beautiful life I could possibly have, a beautiful mission, a beautiful family, beautiful children, grandchildren, beautiful experience to live in life. And yet I'm not willing to settle for that because I'm here to deliver more for everyone I love, including myself. And so what I do is I schedule it. Because listen to me, when you talk about shit, it's a dream. When you envision it, it's exciting. When you plan it, it's possible. When you schedule it, it's real. When this event became real is when you enrolled yourself. Before that, it was an idea. And there's lots of people who intended to be here, but they never locked it in. So I lock it in advance, because if I hadn't locked it in after Date with Destiny, there's no way I would have got on a plane, flown all the way there, and then put myself in a room for 7 days and nights. But I'm grateful I did. And I only did it because I already locked it in place. So I encourage you, number one, figure out at least twice a year, what are you going to go to that's going to make you grow and expand? How many of you feel like these last couple of days have been some of the most growth you've had in a couple of days here? Say I. Then why settle for this one time? Again, I'm happy to do it with you. I have other programs if you want to come, but you're not limited to me. I don't care where you go. But before you leave here, you should schedule what's next. Do you know why? Because how many were looking forward to this for a long time and very excited about this? I'm curious. How many were quite scared about this shit, by the way? I'm curious. But here's what's interesting. After you achieve a goal, have you ever done this? Worked your ass off, achieved a goal, and you feel good, and then there's kind of a drop. Because we need something compelling to be going after, so we keep growing. So I always, right before I achieve a goal, I immediately set what the next thing is, and I lock it into my schedule, because otherwise there's that drop. And if I have the next thing, it's like you're going from peak to peak as opposed to peak to drop to peak to drop. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Say I. And the other thing I've learned, I taught this to all my children. And one time my daughter was talking to me and she's like, Dad, you're so brilliant. And I said, you're absolutely right. And I said, honey, I am a smart human being. I've worked hard to be a smart human being, but probably my greatest gift is I do not let opportunity escape my grasp. If there's an opportunity and it scares me, if there's an opportunity and I don't have the time, if there's an opportunity and I don't have the money, in the early days of my life, that was all three of them. I didn't have time, the money, and I was fearful. I make myself do it because I know that if I don't get myself to do that, I'm not going to keep growing. My teacher, Jim Rohn, used to teach me this. He said, Tony, if you really want to have an amazing life, you got to learn to stretch yourself. I said, well, I do stretch myself. He goes, well, let me give you my philosophy of stretching. He said, stretching means if you find yourself saying, I can't do something, then you must say, I must do it immediately and do it with no hesitancy. Because if you hesitate, it's like the firewalk. If you went up to the firewalk, most of you got up there, made your move, and rocked. Some of you got up there and were like, fuck, oh, shit, whoa, oh, what am I doing here? And the longer you wait, the what it is, harder it is. So you just train yourself to just do it. Instinctively push yourself. So if I say I can't, then I must. Now, when he first told me this, I said, well, if I can't, I must. If I can't jump off a cliff, then I must. He said, no, be intelligent. But he said, if you find yourself saying, I can't do something, I don't want to do something, but if you made yourself do it, you're going to be a better human being, then you must do it. Don't hesitate, do it immediately. And so some people say, well, that's not a very safe life. That's not a very secure life. If you want security, go to prison. If you want freedom, this is how you live, right? out your body for 20 seconds, face a partner and say, I own you, baby. No, I own you. No, I own you. When you say I own you, it means I'm going to outdo your energy for 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3, go. Under control. Control. 2 high fives in a seat. So once, sit down at peak state. I might be anyone. So once you've got events where you're going to make huge growth, the next thing you want to do, throw it up to number 2, is you really want to get yourself a coach or a mentor. Why do you want a coach or a mentor? You're smart. Well, I got a series of mentors. I've got 3 men in my life who are the smartest humans I know, some of the most successful people in the world in business, spiritually, emotionally well-developed. They're 18 to 20 years my senior. And guess what? I come to them all the time for accountability and feedback. Because as much as I know to drive myself, you don't do brain surgery on yourself even if you're a brain surgeon. Does it make sense? You need some feedback from the outside because you're still in it. And so getting a coach is critical. Now I get paid $1 million a year to coach someone and I only take on 7 clients and I got now a 5-year waiting list. So I'm not looking for any coaching clients. But I've trained all of my coaches to do the same things I do and they don't charge $1 million a year, not even close. So you can use our coaches if you want or someone else. But what you don't want to do is have a friend be your coach. Why? I'll give you an example. A few years back, I was on this talk show that's in the morning. I won't mention the name, but it has a bunch of ladies. What's the name of it? The View. That's right. I won't mention it. And I was on The View, and it was when Barbara Walters was still on, and Barbara's a brilliant, amazing lady. And they had me on in January, and I was doing a piece on New Year, New Life, how to transform your energy and your body. And when I was done talking, it was a little 7-minute segment. All 5 women, I guess it was, 5 women followed me into the green room, literally, during the break. And they said, listen, before the TV comes back on, we want to do this. You know, tell us more, how are we going to do this? And we want to do this together. And when they said they wanted to do it together, I was like, hold it. I said, can I be direct with you on this? I said, Barbara, you know how much I respect you and all of you, but can I be direct? They said, well, yeah. I said, well, I respect you. You're some of the best in the world at what you do as journalists. I said, you have an incredible show, #1 radio show. You've been in the years. Barbara, you're a role model for anyone who wants to be successful, man or woman. But there's an area of your life none of you have mastered. It's your body. I'm not being harsh. I have to tell the truth because the truth is how you get to the things to change. And you should have seen them look around at me like, oh my God, he just said we're fat. I didn't say they're fat. I said, you haven't mastered this area of your life. And I said, here's the problem. If you guys get together now and none of you have mastered this area and you're all friends, you'll do this for 2 or 3 days, but about the 3rd or 4th day in, one of you's going to go, I want to go to Starbucks and have a mocha smocha something, whatever that shit's called, right? And someone else can say, no, we got to work out. And they go, but can't we just stop for a few minutes? And then someone else will say, well, we could stop for a few minutes. And then you're fucked because you'll break the pattern. I said, have you ever done this before? And they started shaking their heads. They said, it's happened multiple times. I said, don't do this together. I know you love each other. That's why you shouldn't do it together. Get a professional. When you go, I want to mocha smoke, they go, shut the fuck up and run! You need someone who's not going to listen to your bullshit and is going to push you until you develop the discipline, till you develop the skill. And even then, they're going to know the little things, the 2-millimeter things you don't know that could save you a decade. How many follow this? Say I. So don't get a good coach, get an outstanding one. And the problem is I created the coaching industry. Before I came along, no one called himself a coach in this industry. There wasn't this industry. You had to be a therapist, and you got approved by insurance. And I came along and said, these therapists are sitting down with people for 7 effing years, and I can wipe out that phobia in 20 minutes or an hour? And so I went around and I said, I got to figure out who I am. I'm not a motivator. I never was. You know, I'm not a guru. What am I? And I thought, well, as an athlete, who influenced me the most were my coaches. And many of them were not as good as I was, but I'm in the game. I'm in the forest. They're outside of it. They could see things and give me cues, and they cared about me. So I said, that's what I am. Forget athletics, I'm a coach. I love people, I'm not better than they are, but I'm gonna see things they can't see because this is my focus, right? And so I did that, and for many years I called myself a coach. No one did, and I remember I was on Larry King Live, and I just started coaching President Clinton, and he goes, what is this coaching thing? You're not a coach, you don't coach athletes. I said, well, actually I do. But I said, no, here's what I mean by coach. And I was about to give it up. And like within the next 6 months, everybody was a coach. Therapists started calling themselves coaches. Financial planners started calling themselves coaches. It became a term of art. Now I hate it. You know why? There's no standard, right? Anybody can say they'll call themselves a coach. Anybody go out there and do it. They go to some class, some idiot teaches them 3 skills. They've never produced the fucking result in their life, and they're a coach. So I feel like I created a bastard industry. And so like any industry, there's good and bad. You got to find somebody who's outstanding. Don't settle for somebody who's good, and don't settle for somebody because you like them. Because liking them is a nice thing. You need somebody who has the skill to get you there. Who's with me on this? Say I. And why do we want a coach? So you measure at least twice a month, some of you 3 times a month. Because if you don't measure, you can't manage what you don't measure. Does that make sense? And you got to measure it, and it's easy with your children, with your life, with your businesses. You're going to get caught up. You need somebody helping you to stay on target for what you want for your life. How many follow? Say I. And it's cheap. Most coaching is inexpensive, and the people that overcharge, don't go to them. But get somebody who's really great. And then finally, thirdly, and this is what I want to show you this morning, you need a daily practice. And a daily practice that's going to put you in the best state possible regularly. And so there's 2 parts of the daily practice. One is you want to feed your mind every day for at least 30 minutes. And when I say feed your mind, my teacher Jim Rohn used to say, miss a meal, but don't miss reading for 30 minutes. And I don't mean reading the web or your social media bullshit or Twitter. I mean reading a real book that you've selected because it's going to make you grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. Something that makes you think, something that gives you a strategy, not some cute little blog post that you can read in 5 minutes. I mean something that's going to make you not be mental candy. Something that's going to produce a different result. Because our lives are the result of the input. Input a bunch of garbage, you get garbage out. So I would like never miss reading, and then I started listening to audios when I was really young. And the great thing about audios is you can do what I call net time. No extra time. So the biggest challenge we have is, when am I going to read? When am I going to do this? When am I going to do all these things? The answer is, it doesn't take any extra time. If you use net time, you can do it while you're cleaning the house, while you're working out, going for a walk. When you're driving in your car, should be your new university, where you're feeding your mind. Because if you don't feed your mind, weeds grow automatically. You don't have to work on growing weeds. They're going to be there if you don't do something to replace it. So every day, 30 minutes of either audio or a book, something that's going to make you grow. It'll feed your mind. It'll keep the momentum going. So this won't be just the one burst. This will be the one that got you going. And then you keep the momentum by doing this. And then finally, and most importantly, many people, the most silly question I'm asked in the media all the time for 40 years is, don't you have bad days? Don't you get upset? Don't these things happen? Well, of course, but I said I don't stay there. I've trained myself like an athlete trains their muscles. I've trained my emotional muscles, which, by the way, I think your emotional and spiritual muscles are the most important ones. Courage unused, does it grow or shrink? Which one? Faith unemployed, unused, does it grow or diminish? Diminishes. Passion unexpressed, does it expand or shrink? So the most important muscles that change your life are those mental, emotional, spiritual muscles. If we develop them more, we're going to experience more. So the way I do that is through a process I call priming. And this is the part that I really want you to get, because it's really simple. Most of us, have you ever seen someone do something and thought to yourself, what the F is wrong with this idiot? Who's ever had that thought? How many of you ever done something yourself and thought, what the F am I doing? Okay? Many times we think we're thinking our own thoughts when we're not. We've been primed by the environment to think a certain way, and we don't even realize it. Now, sometimes that's done consciously by marketers or advertisers. That's a simplistic example. But a more powerful example is what happens in your daily life. So let me give you a couple examples so you become aware of the power of priming And then I want to show you how you can consciously prime your own mind and body and emotion so you naturally go where you want to go as opposed to hoping you go there. So some of the studies on priming have shown that what you think are your thoughts actually got there because something in the environment that you're no longer noticing. So an example of this would be, they did a study and they took 2 actors and they both approached 100 people each, and the actors were designed to do the exact same thing. They walk up to people, they have the same facial expression, and they'd say, well, you're sitting there, excuse me, could you hold this for me for 1 second while I grab my phone? And they hand you this cup of coffee. And then they reach in their pocket to get their phone for 2 seconds, and they put it back real fast, and they go, thank you so much, and they take it back. And every time they did it exactly the same way with all the people, 200 people, 100 each. Each person did 100 people, but 50 of those people they gave hot coffee to. 50 of the people they gave iced coffee to. Now listen to this. This is mind-boggling. After 35 to 45 minutes roughly, a person walks by outdoors or at the mall, wherever they did this. They have a checkboard, clipboard, and they go, excuse me, we'll give you $20 if you'll give us 3 minutes of your time to read these 3 paragraphs and answer 2 questions. 95% of people do it. $20, 3 minutes, I'll do it. And they read these 3 paragraphs, which is this story about this main protagonist. And then the 2 questions are, tell us what's the first emotion that you link to the main character, and what's the second one? Those are the 2 questions. When they do this with people they had hot coffee to, 80% of the people, 81% to be exact, roughly 80, 81, say that the person they read the story about is generous and warm. Sometimes they add the word loving, but generous and warm is always there. The people who had the exact same presentation 34 or 40 minutes earlier who were given iced coffee, 80%, there's a 1% difference which is statistically irrelevant, 80% of them say the person is cold and uncaring. And the only difference is 35 or 40 minutes earlier somebody handed you a hot or cold cup of coffee. That's wild, isn't it? I'll give you another example. In America, many of you, there's 72 countries here, but in America, a lot of people see individuals that come from Asia as being superior in science and math. And there's a different mindset in those countries about science and math. And when those people come here, they work incredibly hard, they're incredibly focused, they believe, and the belief structure is they do really well if you're Asian. Now, in our culture, in the past, many times people have been focused on the fact that if you are a man, you do well with math and science, but if you're a woman, it's just not your cup of tea, you're not quite as strong in it. And there's no basis for that whatsoever, but it's a cultural anchor that people have begun to believe in. So here's what's interesting. They took the math part of the SAT test, and they took a group of women at Harvard, and all they did to change the test is change the first question of the test. On half the test, they said, what's your gender? On the other half of the test, they said, what is your nationality, right? What's your ethnicity? Well, interesting. When they were asked what their sex was, and they're all women, they performed 11% lower. And if they were asked, what is your ethnicity? And they said Asian, they were 11% higher, a 22% difference between the two. And the only difference was the first question that was asked. Because it primed you either for your higher level of skill based on your conditioning or a lower level of skill based on social conditioning. How many follow, right? There's a million studies like this. Another interesting one that's really simple is they did an ad where they show the IBM logo and the Apple logo, and they also did this with the commercial. I don't know if you remember the commercial Think Differently that Apple made years ago. So I had people watch the commercials. In both cases, afterwards, they were given a creativity test. The people that watched the 30-second Apple commercial versus IBM scored 20% higher consistently across the board, and all they saw was 30 seconds about thinking differently. That is the power of priming. So my point is really simple. If you're going to get the results that you deserve and that you want to prime yourself for success, prime yourself for love, prime yourself for courage, rather than hope that you show up that way based on the triggers of your environment. Does this make sense? And so I prime myself every single day for a minimum of 10 minutes. It's the first thing I do in the morning. And I'd like to show you how I do it and have you do it so you can have a daily discipline. And if you do this every day, if you keep once or twice a year, get yourself to an immersion experience that makes you grow. You get yourself a coach where twice a month, 30 minutes even, you're just staying on target and measuring. And you read 30 minutes a day or hear an audio 30 minutes a day and you start with priming, then this won't be a 3, 6, 12-month thing. This will be a lifetime thing. Does that make sense? So you're not going to get a lifetime results unless you're lucky by one experience, but you can certainly have it if you use this as the blast off, and then you have a daily discipline to keep the momentum going. So how are we going to prime? Well, let me give you a story first, a simple example first with one of my boys. My second youngest son's name is Josh. Love him to death, amazing kid. And Josh came to live with me when he was 5 years old. Remember I told you I was 24, and instantly I got married to him. I'd been married twice before with kids from 2 different husbands, and she wasn't living with her kids. And so I met her, fell in love with her, brought her into my life, and then saw how sad she was without her kids. So I brought her kids away from both the other husbands. They were happy to give them to us, and I adopted them as ours. And so I'm 24, and I got a 17-year-old son, because she was 13 years my senior, an 11-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old, and one on the way. Well, Josh was the 5-year-old. And Joshie is just such a sweet, really incredibly great kid. But one of the challenges for Josh was he was afraid to even walk down the driveway to get to the bus. I'm Mr. Fear into Power, rip shit open, and my son can't walk down to the bottom of the street. And so I had to kind of try to figure out how to deal with this, how to figure it all out, and to figure out what I was going to do to try and make this thing happen, to make it change. And so one of the things that happened was I started to realize that I needed to train his nervous system to have courage. Instead of hoping it showed up, I got to really train it. And I started doing these things with him, and I watched him before my eyes change. He became more confident, became more strong. And all it was doing was getting him to program his own mind, prime himself. Just really simple little things to do. And then one day, Josh came home, and he was laughing uncontrollably, and like over nothing. And then I came in the room, and there was a new friend with him. And this kid, do you know anybody that's not really funny, but they think they are? How many know something like this? Somebody who cracks themselves up, you know what I mean? And this kid was cracking himself up. He wasn't funny, but he laughed so hard, I found myself laughing at his silly jokes, right? And Josh was laughing so much. So when he left, I said to Josh, that kid, he's your friend? I said, make him your friend for life. He goes, why, Dad? I said, because if you hang out with him, who you spend time with is who you become. And when you're around him, you're so much more playful. You have so much more joy. You have so much laughter. And that young boy, my son is 36 and I have 3 grandkids with him, and his best friend is still that young boy who's now also 36 years old. And Josh is, yes, give him a hand for that, absolutely. I'm your darling to enjoy the party. Don't get too excited, cause that's all you'll get from me. Hey, yeah, I think you're cute, but really you should know. I just came to say. And to this day, Josh is funny as shit. When he was a little kid, like 7 or 8 years old, he stole this dirty jokes book and memorized every freaking joke in the damn thing. And he got so much reward for it, and his buddy was like that to this day, if I want to laugh, Josh is my partner in a couple of my companies, and he's not my partner. I have 4 kids. None of my others are partners with me. I love them all equally, but he shows up differently. And part of it is things that stress other people out, he breaks the pattern with his own laughter. And it's beautiful to be around him. Great time. And he primed him. So I'll give you another example of priming. When I first started my Date with Destiny seminar decades ago, I did the seminar in my own house at a place called the Del Mar Castle. And there were about, 38, 39 people at this seminar. It's a little different now, as you can see. And I was delivering like my heart and soul into this particular program. And gradually I started looking around and going, man, I can't keep doing this in my house. There's not enough room. When we got to 100 people, I had to move it. But I wanted to keep it in I lived in Del Mar, California. It's on the beach. And I thought, well, there's a hotel on the beach. And it's a really nice hotel called Le Berge. And we'll go down Le Berge, we'll do it there. And they have a room that'll hold 150 people, which is a giant seminar for me at those days. And what I didn't count on, I thought, this is great. People work on their beliefs and their goals and their values, and then go outside and they can sit on the beach during the breaks. breathe the fresh air. But what I didn't think about is right there in Del Mar on the beach, there's a train station. And so somehow my little brain didn't figure this out till it was too late. I'm in the middle of the seminar and someone is sharing this emotional experience. This woman was raped and she's going through it all and I'm stepping in to help her and all of a sudden you're, and you hear this freaking train whistle. And they do it like 5 times so nobody misses the train. And so every time you start talking, you interrupt it again and people are getting pissed off. And it was happening so often because there's so many trains that at one point I realized I know the schedule of when everybody will be pissed off. 8:30 a.m., 10:15, 11:30, 12:10, they're going to be pissed because the train's going to come. So I turned to the audience and I said, we kind of have a schedule for being pissed off right now, and I'd like us to train ourselves to feel differently. How many of you have something in your life or someone who can trigger you at times, annoy you? It could be a family member you love, but they have this little thing they do. It could be a husband or wife. It could be your kids. It could be a coworker. How many got one of these? Say, I said, what if we trained ourselves so the same stimulus that was making us angry, we trained our nervous system just using basic science, neuroscience, train our nervous system so the same stimulus makes us feel great. And people looked at me like, this is bullshit. What are you talking about? I said, here's what I want to do. Since the train's going to come 12 times a day and we have 3 more days together, perhaps we should enjoy the train. How many of you, when you were a kid, when you heard a train, you wanted to see the train and maybe count the number of cars or run down and be close to it? How many were excited when you saw a train? Raise your hand, say aye. Now you're on the way to work or a meeting and a train comes and it's in your way. Frickin' train! I'll give you a clue. The train didn't change, right? So the question is, I said, what if every time the train comes, we train ourselves to celebrate, to feel good, to enjoy? And I said, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Every time we are trained, I don't care if you're in the middle of the most important conversation of your life. I don't care if we're doing something what you think is so important. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if all the books are on your chair. I want you to instantly just drop everything, and I want you to jump and start to celebrate like a little kid, like it's the greatest gift of your life. And then we're going to end with a whoa clap, and then we're going to laugh hysterically into our chair. And if you can't laugh, I want you to fake laugh into your chair. Because most of you know if you fake laugh, what starts to happen? Real laughter comes, right? And then you wire yourself to laugh more easily. Just like with Josh, I wanted people, wouldn't it be nice to laugh easier? You didn't have to have everything be perfectly funny for you to have a good time. Because most of it doesn't have to be perfectly bad for you to be pissed off. So train it. So I got everybody to agree, and we did it. So every time the train came, and some people are like, oh, frickin' train, that won't work. You got to go, it's a train. You got to be like a little kid. And pretty soon, people look forward to the train. And by the way, would this be useful to train yourself around a person in your life or a situation, yes or no? So I don't have a train nearby, but I've imported a special train whistle, and I'm going to ask you for the rest of today, no matter how tired we are, no matter how hardworking, no matter what we're in the middle of, if we hear that train whistle, we're going to jump up, and we're going to celebrate like little kids, make noise, have fun. We'll clap, we'll do the whoa clap, and then we're going to laugh hysterically into our chair, and maybe point at somebody else and laugh at them while we're doing it to train our nervous system. Who's willing to go for it? Who's willing to go for it? Then it could happen at any time. You never know when it's going to happen. Oh, there it is. Oh, my God. Make some noise! Clapping! Laughing hysterically in your chair. Point at the people around you and laugh at them. Oh, yes. Now, does that feel good? Wouldn't that be better than being pissed off or worried? Could you do this enough? Could you do this often enough that you could wire yourself to laugh easily over nothing? To celebrate little shit? Would that be helpful? So throughout the day, this could happen. It might happen multiple times. There it goes again, holy shit! Make some noise! Clapping! Laughing out of control into your chair. Whoa, yes. If that feels good, say yes. Say yes. Say yes. So that's priming. Can we prime ourselves to feel good? Yes or no? What if you knew you would have a really important conversation with your kid or your spouse or your loved one, and you're starting to feel a little tension because you don't want to deal with this because you love them, you don't want to deal with the bullshit, but you know you got to. In this state of being primed about it, how's it going to go? But if you primed yourself with laughter or joy or playfulness, and now you go to be with them, and somebody goes, no! And you go, that'll fuck with them real quick, won't it? They don't want to deal with you enjoying yourself. So we are in charge. Here's the point. Life changes the moment you make the decision that you're 100% responsible for your experience of life. Not responsible like a heavy, response-able. If you're responsible, you're able to respond. You can only respond and be able to do that if you own yourself. And if you know people can do anything, but still you're the authority of what it means to you. You're the authority of your own emotions. You're the authority of your own actions. Who's with me on this? Say I. And blaming other people, which the human mind is always looking to do, will never make you happy, never make you fulfilled, never bring you closer to people, will never make you grow. So when you're willing to take that level of responsibility where you're like making judgments and you go, oh, that person's such a bullshitter, such a liar. One of the things I always do is I do a reversal in my head and go, you're such a bullshitter, you're such a liar. No, I'm not. Where are you a bullshitter? Well, I did bullshit about that once. Who's ever said something and after you said it thought to yourself, what I just said was total bullshit? How many of you ever thought this? How many of you ever heard someone else say something and thought to yourself, what they just said is fucking bullshit? See, if you can see it in someone else, they can see it in you. Better to just own it and let go. Because that's what the mind does. If we let the mind run us, we're going to have a tough time. This mind serves me. I don't negotiate with it. Remember I told you? I don't say, well, I'll do this. Well, maybe we could do it. Maybe we'll jump in the water now. It's like, it knows I'm not here to negotiate. When I say it, we do it. That's what we want to train ourselves to do today. Who's up for that? Say I. So the first step to that would be priming. So let me show you exactly what I do for 10 minutes. By the way, my son, people have around him enough, he laughs so much, he is a priming to other people when he shows up in the room. Because they're around Josh enough, and they know at any moment Josh could crack them up, and there's an unconscious anticipation of it. Does that make sense? So even if something's stressful, they're almost on their edge that Josh is going to do something of this nature. It's an incredible skill. It's an incredible gift. So here's how I prime myself. I do 3 things. First, before I do the 3 things, whenever you want to make a change or improve something, the first place you want to improve it is in your mental, emotional state. If you do something from a pissed off state, from an exhausted state, from a frustrated state, from a weak state, it won't matter what you do. The thoughts are weak when you're in a weak place. The actions are weak. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you a simple breathing pattern. And the breathing pattern, if you're familiar with yoga, it's like breath of fire. It's similar to breath of fire. And it's a movement. And what it's going to look like is this. You're going to sit up in your chair with energy. I'll show you what we'll do, and then we'll do it. We're going to raise our hands up as we take the air in. and then you're gonna blow it out. Only you're gonna blow it out your nose. Now to do that, if there's anything in there, it may show up coming out of your body. So if it does, just wipe it on your neighbor, it's not a problem whatsoever. So if you do have some Kleenex, you might wanna grab your Kleenex if you've got some, just in case something happens, because you're gonna be blowing out that nose strong. In fact, if you have some tissue or a sleeve or something, now's the time to use it. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take the breath in, your hands are gonna go where? Up, and then as your hands go up like this, and we're gonna do that over and over again for 30 breaths. I'll count them, we'll do 3 sets of 10. You're gonna do this with your eyes closed, then you're gonna drop your hands down, palms up on your weight, on your legs, and you're just gonna feel whatever you feel. You might notice some tingling, you might notice a sense of peace. You might just feel relaxed. And then we'll do another 3 sets of 10, another 30, we'll relax, and then another. So we're gonna do 3 sets of 30. 3 sets of 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 with a break between them. When you're done with that, you're ready to prime, because it puts you in state. Priming is 3 actions. It's done in 10 minutes. You can do more than 10, and many of you will enjoy it so much you'll go longer. But the reason I do 10 minutes of priming is I wanted to come up with a daily discipline there was no excuse not to do. If you don't have 10 fucking minutes for your life, you don't have a life. Who's with me on this? Say aye. And by the way, when you get on the airplane, what's the first thing they teach you when they get on the airplane? They say, okay, here's how to put on your seatbelt as if you don't know. And then they say, in the result of a loss of oxygen, what's gonna happen? These masks are gonna drop down, they have oxygen, and the first thing you do is grab it and put it on your child. It's the first thing you gotta do. Is that what they tell you? What do they tell you? Put it on yourself, you selfish bastard. What are you talking about? Why do they tell you to do that? Because if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of them. And what a good metaphor for our lives. Yes, give it up for that piece as well. So we're priming, taking care of ourselves so we can take care of everybody else too. Does that make sense? So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna do our 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10. Then with our eyes closed, the first 3 1/3 minutes of the 10 minutes is we're gonna focus on 3 experiences in our life that we can feel deeply grateful for. 3 of them. And we're not gonna think of like, oh, this. We're gonna take them one at a time, spend about a minute each, and step into that moment in your life that you could feel grateful for. It could be a little thing or a big thing, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you go there. You know, if I asked you what's it like to be on a roller coaster, and you remember a time when you're on a roller coaster and you picture yourself on a roller coaster over there, you're gonna give me a very different feedback than if I get you to imagine the moment you were going over the edge and you're in the front seat, then you're gonna show me a different result. You want your gratitude to be in the front seat, not an intellectual gratitude out there. So I take 3 minutes, a minute each, I come up with something different every time. I think of a moment that I could feel so grateful for, a blessed moment, a beautiful moment, a loving moment, a sacred moment. And I step in and feel it and flood myself with the gratitude. Now, do you remember why we use gratitude? It sounds corny, right? But why? From a scientific perspective. Remember what I showed you the other day? When someone's frustrated, when they're angry, we can measure your EKG and your EGG. We can see what your heart and your brain are both doing. And they are all over the place. They don't match, they're jagged. Do you remember the image? But when you breathe in your heart and you put focus in your heart, where focus goes, energy. And so what happens is you get unified. And all of a sudden the brain and the heart become one tracing energy. It's crazy. That's the flow state. So when you're grateful, gratitude is the antidote to the 2 emotions that mess up most people's lives. What are they? Anger and what? Fear. Those are the 2 biggies. You cannot be grateful and angry simultaneously. That's the beauty of it. It's the antidote to anger. You can't be fearful and grateful simultaneously. So the more you cultivate and prime yourself for gratitude, the more you can push through anger and fear very quickly. Does that make sense? So again, it's scientific. This is not like positive thinking bullshit. It's about what actually changes biochemistry and what will get you to wire and fire a new set of patterns that are more elegant, more rewarding, more impactful than the ones that society will condition you to do if you let it, okay? So 3 minutes, a minute each. And by the way, when I do it, I usually pick 2 strong ones, and then I pick something really simple, and I make myself really feel the gratitude, like the wind on my face, or the smell of the ocean if I'm doing it outside by my house, or the look on one of my children's faces. And I'll just fill that up. And the reason is, if all you do is get grateful about big things, you're gonna miss most of life. You know, the astronauts that went to the moon, think about that journey. Think about, as a child, these guys dreamed of being an astronaut. They competed with hundreds of thousands of people, and then a few of these guys get on that rocket and go to the moon. And imagine, you walk on the moon, you look back, and you see that picture we've all seen of the blue-green earth that's so beautiful, and it's not a photograph. They were the ones there seeing it. Talk about an experience. And then they face their fears and come in, and they land successfully in the ocean, and they're rescued. And then there's a ticker tape parade in New York. They shake the president's hand, and now what do? You're 32 years old, and you walked on the fucking moon. What do you do now for adventure? And if you study the astronauts, Buzz Aldrin, all these guys, I had a chance to interview most of them, not all, but 3 of them. Almost all of them wrote about, described what happened to them. They no longer had a compelling future. How do I have an adventure? I walked on the moon. Everything else is small by nature. And as a result, they got depressed. Most of them abused alcohol and drugs. Why? Because they're looking for adventure on a moon run, and they missed the adventure in a smile. So I train myself daily, prime myself to find those little things that are so beautiful and feel them, because the more I feel them, the more I can give that to someone else. The more I can move that direction, the more I can enjoy as well. It's putting the mask on me first. Who's with me on this? Say I. Okay? So that's, after we do our breathing, step 1 of the 3 steps, first the breathing, then the 3 steps. 1, gratitude. 3 minutes roughly, a minute each, 3 different moments you can feel grateful for. And feel it, enjoy it, savor it, live in it. Next 3 and a third minutes. Second piece we're gonna do is you're gonna feel the energy in you and do a prayer or a blessing. Now, I know many of you are not religious. I'm not suggesting you need to be. But almost all of us know there's a power in love. You know, if God was love, and we didn't come up with all the other names for God, you wouldn't have much argument between people. So imagine that what you're gonna do is imagine energy of God, the universe, whatever you want to imagine, coming down into you like a white light and breathing it down in through your body, down your legs, into the earth, and then coming back up and out again. So it's, and then comes back up. And you don't have to do this with your hands, but I'm trying to show you what the feeling is. And while you're doing this, what you're gonna do during those 3 minutes is you're gonna give thanks. It's like a prayer saying, heal my body, my mind, my emotions, strengthen me, make me the best I can be, strengthen my love, my passion, my courage, whatever it is that you value in yourself. And you feel that happening. Of the 3 minutes, I do that for about a minute and a half, and the other minute and a half, I then take that energy through me, and I send it in a circle around to my children, to my family, to my friends, to my coworkers, to my associates, to my partners, to the people I meet on the street, to my clients. And so it's taking the energy in. Now, you might sound like woo-woo stuff, but the idea of allowing your nervous system to heal and strengthen, just the focus of that alone, for you is strong, and sending to others as well. So you can think it's all bullshit, but try it and decide based on the experience. If you do it a while, I think you're gonna find it'll deepen that sense of gratitude, because it becomes not only gratitude, but a healing, a strengthening, and a gift to those you love. The last 3 minutes, I call 3 to thrive. You're gonna think of 3 things that you really want to accomplish or achieve, but instead of like hoping it happens or thinking about it happening, you're gonna step in your mind and experience it as if it's done. You're gonna see it or feel it, breathe it, celebrate it like you've already achieved the goal. What you're doing is training your reticular activating system. And we talked about this the other day, the part of your brain that notices things. When you didn't, before you bought that car outfit, you never noticed them. Now you buy that car outfit, those cars and outfits are everywhere. How come? Because your RAS, now that you own one, says, this is important, I need to pay attention to this. Well, when you get clear what you want, and you see it as done and feel it and create it in your mind and your heart, and you celebrate it, there's a sense of certainty that enters your body, and your reticular activating system starts to go to work on making it happen. So you spend a minute each on those. So basically 3 minutes each, 3 1/3 minutes each, and we're done. All right? How many want to try it? All right? Then let's do it. So before you do, stand up. Shake your body out. And if you're going to relax, the fastest way to relax is first push yourself to a high level of energy, then it allows you to drop deeper. So find a partner and go, I own you. When you say I own you, it means I challenge you. I've got more energy than you, old person. Say, I own you. I own you. On a count of 3, outdo their energy with celebration like a little kid. 1. Let's do it. 1. 2, use your voice and your body. 3, go! Hug in a seat, feeling great. All right. Put your notebook aside. If you want, take a quick little sip of water if you've been jumping around a bit. If you have some tissue, it might be time to blow your nose. Be sure to do it in your neighbor's ears so they fully appreciate the experience. All right? Put things aside. Here's what we're going to do. Our hands are going to come up. As they come up, we take a breath in. We're going to do it with our eyes closed, and we'll count 3 sets of 10. I'll count it so you don't have to worry about it. Just do it explosively. By the way, your hands come up, and when you explode out from the gut, out the nose. Okay? Close your eyes. We'll begin. Ready? Lights down. Here we go. I should hear you. It should come out your nose loud. Stop. Your eyes closed. Put your hands, palms up on your lap. And just feel. Feel if you feel any tingling in your body. Feel if you feel maybe a sense of peace. Maybe be a hint of happiness every now and then for some of you. Just for no good reason except you want it. We're going to do 3 sets of 30 again, 3 sets of 10. Here we go. Hands come up as we breathe in. Stop. Palms up, eyes closed. Once again, just feel whatever you feel. Relaxation, any tingling, perhaps a sense of peace. Some of you, there might be a little joy or happiness that creeps in. Just because it's enjoyable, why not? One more set of 30, 3 sets of 10. Here we go. Palms up, breathing deep, enjoying it. You might just take your hands and put them on your heart for a moment. Physically feel your heart and breathe deep in your heart. Feel the power of your heart, the strength of your heart, the beauty of your heart. What are you proud your heart has guided you to feel or to give or to do or to share or to enjoy? As long as that heart is beating, you live. And something in the universe, God, the universe, some energy, some infinite intelligence, whatever you call it, loved you enough to give you this heart. You didn't have to earn it. It knew you were enough before you were born. So give thanks for this beautiful heart that beats 100,000 times a day without you even having to think about it. It beats even when you sleep. And as long as it beats, you live. What a gift. Now, for 3 minutes, a minute each, start with one memory, one moment in your life you could feel incredibly grateful for if you wanted to. What's a moment? Could have been with your kids or your husband or wife or friends or by yourself or prayer or a sporting moment. Any moment at all that you could feel so grateful for. And then step back in that moment as if you were there now. Looking through your own eyes. Seeing what you saw then as if it was happening now. Breathing, hearing, feeling. That feeling of gratitude as if you were there right now. Take a moment and fill up with that memory like you're there. Enjoy it. Savor it. Fill up with that gratitude. A moment you love, a moment that is precious. Think of a second moment now you can feel deeply grateful for. It could be anything from your childhood, as an adult, could have been 10 years ago, could have been yesterday or today. Any moment you could feel deeply grateful for. Step into that moment right now like you're there once again. Seeing, hearing, feeling what you're feeling then, now. Fill up with that gratitude. Savor it. Give thanks. Feel so grateful. Think of a third moment now. Grateful for if you wanted to. See it, feel it, hear it, experience it. You might even feel a smile inside that starts to show up slightly on your face if you wanted to. Fill up with the beauty of that moment. The love or the sacredness or the gift of that magic moment. Feel that that moment was a blessing in your life, wasn't it? And then just for fun, think of a coincidence that you're grateful for. You know, we all love coincidences because we didn't make it happen. It was life happening for us. Not to us. You were heading to a restaurant or to a meeting and you met the love of your life. You weren't planning on it. Or a business partner. Or you got exposed to an idea that changed your life. And you didn't do it. Life, God, the universe brought it to you. It's really beautiful when we can start to see that life is always happening for us, not to us. Even the problems are gifts if we learn from them. They lead to greater growth, aliveness, love, certainty, strength. What's a coincidence you're grateful for that happened because it led to something you treasure, you value, you appreciate, you're grateful for? Fill up with that gratitude. And was it a coincidence, or were you guided? We're going to go to step 2 now. Imagine, you can relax your hands off your heart if you haven't already. Imagine an energy. It can be a gold light, a white light, an ice blue light coming from the sky, from space, from the heavens, down through the top of your head, the crown of your head. And as it goes through, that white or gold or blue light penetrates your skull, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your chest, your lower back, your stomach, your legs, calves, through the feet, into the ground, circling to the core of the earth. Imagine it. And then imagine it circling back up to the top and out the top of your head. Back down, and as it does, feel the energy come in, and imagine that your life, your mind, your emotion, your body are being healed and strengthened all the way into the earth. Back up your legs, through the chest, through the top of your head, and out into the sky. And keep bringing it down like a game of energy. And think to yourself as you do this, heal my body, heal my mind, heal my spirit, strengthen me. Strengthen the best parts of me, my courage, my faith, my determination, my love, my passion, my compassion, my caring. And then do it again and just feel like each time it's almost like a cleansing and a strengthening of your whole nervous system. Like every cell, every nerve in your body feels alive, healed, strengthened. Like the best parts of you are getting stronger. Your love, your joy, your playfulness, your laughter, your faith, your determination, your persistence, your love. And when you feel really the energy or trust that's there, it's like a prayer or a blessing. Now take that energy in your heart and send it to the people closest to you. Imagine, they don't even have to know it, that you're sending energy into them that heals their mind, their heart, their emotions, their body. That it strengthens the best in them, their joy, their love, their happiness, their determination, their courage, their faith, their joy. And do it with those closest to you, your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, your children, close family members, close friends, co-workers, business partners, strangers, clients, everyone. And just feel that you want the best for them. You want them to be blessed. It's hard for us to be blessed if we don't want the same blessings for others. Those we love and those we don't even know. And just fill up with that energy that heals and strengthens you and those you love and those you meet. The energy comes down all the way through, cleanses, strengthens, comes back up, back into the sky, touches all those you love. Make it like a game. It feels fun to keep feeling stronger and happier, and then spreading that strength and happiness through either prayer or love or blessings or all the above. Whatever is appropriate for you, whatever you believe in. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. Whatever you believe, whatever you feel, let it flow. Finally, our third step, you're going to think of 3 results, 3 outcomes, 3 goals that you want to turn into reality. And we'll take a minute each, one at a time. I want you to imagine that you've already achieved that goal. You've already made it happen. And you're feeling it. There should be a smile inside you. You're celebrating it. And how the beauty of your achieving that not only makes your life better, but allows you to touch others that you love, care about, reach out to. So see a goal or a desire that you really want to make happen, but don't think about making it happen. See it as done. Feel it. Celebrate it like it's the ultimate victory. Feel grateful for it, like you were guided to the result. Really feel the excitement of it, the joy of it. Awesome, you're doing great. Great job. Then think of a second goal or outcome, but really see and feel yourself achieving it and then celebrating it, and see what it brings to your life and the people you care about, and feel the joy, the excitement, the fun of it, the pride, making it happen as if it's happened already right now in this moment. And finally, think of a third outcome or result you want, a goal you want to make real. Step in it like you're there. See and feel yourself achieving it and being out of your mind with excitement and gratitude and joy. You might even just make yourself smile really huge for the sake of it, or a subtle one inside, whatever you prefer. But really feeling the appreciation of this, the gratitude, the excitement of it, the joy of it. It is done. Amen. Feel it. Breathe it. And then just say, thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Continue to breathe, feeling this gratitude, feeling the joy, feeling the blessings in your mind, body, heart, and soul, the blessings to those you love and meet. And start to feel the achievement, the joy, the excitement, and start to build that energy a little bit inside. Like the energy is building up inside you, and it's going to build to a peak where you're going to expand and make a sound in a few minutes. Not just yet. Just feel so grateful, so happy, so blessed. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. And when you're ready, slowly, when you're ready, you can rise up and begin to stretch your body and just feel that energy inside you, building, strengthening, feeling grateful. And then let the energy rise up. Stand up and rise up. Extend your body. In a few moments, we're going to make a sound, the loudest sound you've ever made that you could enjoy making, a sound of joy, of excitement, of playfulness, of grace, of guidance. The kind of sound you make if you were thanking the universe or God for all that's inside you, all that you've lived, all that you're going to live, all that's coming. Get ready to build it up. Faith, joy, excitement, energy, passion. More excitement, more energy, more joy than ever. Get ready. 1, 2. Unleash the sound! Now reach inside and double the intensity, louder and enjoy it. Go! Bring it into your heart. Take the feelings inside. Feel it in you, as you. It is you. Tony Robbins didn't do any of this shit. This is you. Your spirit and soul awakened. It's you that awakens you. You awaken yourself with gratitude. You awaken yourself with grace. You awaken yourself with appreciation. You awaken yourself by seeing and commanding and celebrating what you want, not begging for it like you're weak. Knowing it's in you, as you. This is you. We are not made to be small or less. We're made to feel fully. 1, 2, 3, make the sound! Again and double the intensity. You got it. Enjoy it. Go! One more time. Go! One more, go for it! Take it in your heart. Breathe it inside you. It's in you. As you, this is the real you. If you strip away the conditioning, if you strip away the fear, and you prime yourself for your true nature, gratitude, love, strength, caring, passion, aliveness, this is what we're made for. This is who we are. Everything else is just fear and conditioning. And we are more than anything that could ever happen to us, more than anything we could ever face. You are more than any problem. No problem is permanent. Only our souls are permanent. Problems are the gifts we grow from. Turn to someone next to you and tell them, what were you grateful for? What did you remember? What did you achieve? And how are you feeling right now? Go. Grab a partner and tell them, what did you remember? What did you appreciate?
Oh.